What is up, my Degens? How we doing? As always, this is Nerd Boy Takes, and I'm joined by a special guest today. Somebody that I've really interacted in the space, had some fun with. We're in a couple of leagues now together, gone back and forth. And we are talking my guys today. So we're talking about who we love for this next year. They could be ADP darlings. They could be absolutely off the radar, or they're just guys that are everywhere, and we just love them. But before I get to my intro, before we get into the content, we're going to hit you with the intro, and we'll be right back.
Time to take a chance to fly, feeling like I'm 10 feet high.
And like I said, Dynasty Degens coming in hot. And my guest today is Lobo at Lobo's FF Den on X. What's up, bud? How you doing, man?
Good, man. I'm excited to be here. That entrance, just that intro gets me hyped every time, man. Seeing Genty and seeing Cam on that field, it just, dude, bring on September. Bring me those guys. I'm excited for it.
Hell yeah, man. I've been switching up the intro almost every week just because I have my buddy Jagger that I was on the pod with earlier today that is making us an intro. And he's a busy man. He's a very busy man. So I am trying to shorten my original intro. My original intro, it just goes on for days. Like we'll snip it. That's the wrong one. We got a ton of intros. We're just gonna let it fly. But
I believe you. I believe you.
You can use your imagination, I think, right? Like you know that these intros go forever.
Yeah.
But how you doing, man? What's going on? Tell me about your life. I know that I'm taking you away from your gaming with Coop, and I have words for Coop. I'll definitely talk to him. I'm going to see him in about a month. So Coop and I live not too far away from each other. So
He told me that when we were gaming a few weeks ago. And so
I'm gonna give him a dirty face, dude. I'm gonna give him a mean mug.
Do it and give him a little swirly too, man. He deserves it.
Oh fuck yeah! I'll give him a swirly.
He texted me, he said, get on. And I said, I can't, man. I'm hopping on with Nerd Boy. And he said, screw that, dude. Play some games. And so I almost dipped and did that. But life is good, man. We're chilling. We're getting ready. Getting ready to start, writing, getting deep into some draft kit stuff here, draft kit content, and just talking rookies, talking ball. It's the best time of year, man, personally. So loving it, man.
Yeah. And you're at Fantrax, right? So you're doing stuff for them. You're doing the draft kit and all that.
Yeah, we're getting our draft kit ready to drop. And it should be some exciting stuff, man. That team puts out some great content, and so I'm excited to be a part of it. I'm excited to get that ball rolling.
Yeah, man. Before we sign out of here, definitely drop where we can find that and all that good stuff, where the content's coming out. Let's just talk. I mean, I haven't had you on the pod before, so this is always like the introduction. We talk a little bit about you. How'd you get into content creation? Like, what brought you into this unhealthy world that we live in, this craziness that we do day to day. We love to do this, but it's like not healthy, I don't think, to a degree. But
no, my wife doesn't think so either, man. But no, overall, it was growing up, I was a huge football fan, man. And so growing up, been a huge sports guy my entire life. Unfortunately or fortunately, Cowboys fan right there. Was born in Texas. Baby picture was in a Dallas Cowboys helmet. So have watched football my entire life. Have not gone a Sunday without watching it with my dad. And, I was about 12, 13 years old. And I remember joining my first fantasy football league. And I've given Maurice Jones-Drew so many shout outs around. He's the guy that got me hooked, man. He was my first pick ever in fantasy. Won me a ship the first year I played, and I was hooked. Fast forward from that 8 to 10 years, I joined Twitter, and I really just got on because I was having a hard time trying to decide who to start. And so I got onto Twitter and I started looking up, who to start. I saw some big names out there. And I mean, obviously Michael Fabiano, starting with, Adam Scheffler, just like Schefter, all these guys, man, that were giving this advice. And I'm like, that's a pretty cool thing, man. So followed them for a little bit. I did not do any content. And then one day I made a comment on there, and it was on Michael Fabiano's post. And he was talking about starting someone. I can't remember who it was. And I commented my thoughts, and it got like, 30, 40 likes. And, back then I'm like, holy crap, man, people were asking me questions about it. And so that really evolved into one thing into the next. And, fast forward a few years, man, and here we are and growing. And I mean, I do it for fun, man. I mean, we all do it for fun, but it's, when you're pretty good at it, it adds a cherry on top. But I do it for fun. I've got a lot of friends and family who come to me for advice now, and I love it, man. But yeah.
Yeah, it's a love-hate relationship, I think. Once everyone realizes that you're deep into it and you're the degen is obviously what I refer to it as. But like, I have like my wife's, I don't even know, coworkers texting me and stuff. And I'm like, I don't even know you, Brian, but I would definitely not start Tyreek Hill this week. It's like I have no idea who texts me and who has my number and why they have my number. But it's like I answer the question before I find out who they are, because I'm just like, well, this isn't that important. It's like dealing with somebody on Twitter or X, like I don't know these people. Like they're in my DMs all the time, and I'm just like, all right, well, yeah, I might as well, answer these texts like that. And dude, it is fun, man. And as long as you can kind of fade out the noise, I feel like it does weigh on you depending on what groups you're in. And it's all very nichey, and it's fun to be in content, but I never wanted to take away from personal life. I never want this to be something that I miss an important moment in my family's life, or, like, this is not ever going to take priority, even though it started off as a fun thing, and it still is. But you can really get honed in the wrong realm of fantasy football sometimes.
Oh yeah, big time, dude. And I think the biggest thing, I mean, I'm a newer dad, so I think for myself, my kid's a year old now, and priorities there for a minute, kind of switch for a little bit, but then you understand that for some people, they go out there and they have other hobbies that they like to do. My hobby is this, dude. I love to do this. Obviously, I like to go and work out. I like to go and do other couple things, hang out with buddies, drink some beers. But at the end of the day, like, this is what that therapeutic shit is for me, man. Like, this right here is being able to talk ball, being able to talk these things. That's why I do it, man. So.
Yeah. And that's the best, man. Like it's therapeutic, like it's never just about, I don't do a podcast because, I just generally want to throw out takes constantly. It's more about connecting. It's more about making those like-minded or even having like contradictory takes and assessing them. I think this stuff, getting on live with people you've never really talked ball with, it makes you more refined and better at what you're doing. And you see a different side. You have to see every side, and you can never have take lock or be stuck in a certain idea, because I've been wrong a million times. And I think that just comes with age, man, knowing that your takes and your ideas of life.
Look at these whites coming in.
You got a new baby, dude. You got white hair. Yeah, man. New Balance is probably on your feet right now. You're locked in. Locked in, brother. Dude, before we get into it, I love this question because it tells me a little bit about your personality, and then we just open it up. Tell me your favorite TV show, and then tell me the character of that show that you most would want to be in a dynasty league with.
So when I tell you the character, you'll obviously know the show. But if I could be in a league with Coach Beard, that's everything to me, dude. Underrated character, one of the most underrated characters of all the shows. And I know that for Ted Lasso fans out there, they're probably saying he's not underrated. We all love Coach Beard. But nah, man, Coach Beard is by far one of the best characters in that show. And I'd love to be in a league with him. I think he'd be so much fun, dude. He says shit how it is, man. Like throughout that entire show, he's probably the one that made me laugh the most because he's real with it. And that's honestly what I'm like, man. It's like you'll get to know me a little bit, but I think what it is, it's like what you see is what you get, man. The way I'm talking to you now, it's the way I talk to everybody. It's my buddies, my wife, my mom. I don't care who I'm talking to, man. And that's just that. It's that transparency side of me, that real side of me. And Coach Beard is just that, dude. So I'd love to be in a league with him. I think he'd probably shit on the really bad teams. He'd probably, kind of just he'd keep the league real. And I'd love to have Coach Beard on.
Yeah, he's a real dude. Like, I think there's been so many answers. We've gone through The Wire a million times. We've gone through The Sopranos. You can't. Those are the shows that you can't miss. Like, you could have an answer for any character, and I wouldn't be like, why? Like, I would just be like, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, anybody on those teams, and that's Coach Beard is the GOAT, I think, when it comes to like the way that he is as a person. I agree. That's kind of how I am too. I am by default somebody that's going to tell you how it is, but I do it in a manner where most people don't get mad about it. Like I think I have that baked into the way that I am. And most people think I'm joking, but it's like there's some truth to every joke, right? Like to a degree. And I think that's like Coach Beard, like there's no sugarcoating. There's no like, hey man, I'm not going to like give you the soft answer for this. It's like, I'm going to stand on business. And that's a good segue to exactly what we're doing today. We're standing on business, man. And we're talking about our guys. We are going to revisit this episode and then talk about it in nauseum at some point. But my guys episode, I do it every year. I chose this for you because I thought it was a good fit, man. I just know I see your content.
Sir,
I was talking to you through a post about Garrett Wilson the other day, and I just like felt like we both had the same take where Garrett Wilson still has the skill set of a top asset and his top wide receiver in Dynasty moving forward. And there's so much, I'm going to say like fading, but it's just really, I don't know. People see the scenario, they see the situation. They don't like Justin Fields or they don't like the Jets, and it is a fade a very good player. Sure. And I don't see that. I don't see a reason to be doing that. I actually think that Justin Fields, for what it is, can hyper target the only wide receiver on the team. When he only had DJ Moore, he hyper targeted him. I just feel like he even made Mooney a very viable option. Obviously, he's kind of showing out a little bit the past year in Atlanta, but I think that people forget, even for the inefficiency and everything that he goes through, he still makes a wide receiver one on the team that he lands in. And I don't know who else would be that guy. It's not like I like Garrett Wilson because of the lack of target competition, but that's a part of it. I mean, that's a part of it, dude. I hate to say it, but like, are we who are we talking about? Alan Lazard? Who are we talking about on that team? Like
nobody,
dude. Yeah.
I mean, potentially Breece Hall.
I mean, if we're talking about Breece Hall being used properly, I mean, he's also a guy that like, dude, are we losing our minds? I brought Breece Hall for the 109, and I was like, you're pretty much trading
deal, bro.
like
you're stealing
Caleb Johnson for a Breece Hall. And I get it. You want to maybe get the new shiny toy or whatever, and that rookie fever hits, and there's so many opportunities to move off of these guys, but like, I don't know, dude. Like I'm taking Breece Hall 99% of the time when it comes to anything after, the top three guys.
Yeah, 100%.
Even, I mean, it's even sooner than that. I don't know. Like, I mean, Hunter's there. And then I think after like Ted McMillan, and would you go Travion Henderson or Breece Hall right now? That's where I think I have the question.
You're asking the wrong guy because I'm a huge Travion guy. I'm a huge
Travion guy too. I know, I'm with you because he has a different dynamic. He could be the wide receiver one. Well, we're not going to talk that into existence because we're going to talk about one of our guys and he's on the Patriots, but like he could be the wide receiver two on that team, he could be like the top targeted guy, especially for a second year quarterback, like that's crazy value. I do like Mason Taylor on the Jets team could have some value. I agree, but like a rookie tight end, and then there's nothing else behind him. All right, let's do our guys. So what we're gonna do here, this is the segment. This is the whole segment. We're gonna do a whole show on this. We're gonna go back and forth. So it's gonna be one of my guys, one of your guys. We're going to talk about the layout of the team, who's behind them, who could boost the value, why we like them so much this year. And then we can get into it and just talk about everything in between from there. Give me the first guy that you will have on the list and who you want to throw out there.
My first guy has been blowing up because he's blowing up the Patriots training camp right now. And he's going above and beyond. I think he's someone who, we looked at, and I was looking at the other day, man, it was interesting. I was trying to just kind of pull up, and I wrote this piece on Trey Harris and Jaden Higgins, trying to decide like, who am I really going for? Right. And ultimately, Trey Harris is my rookie wide receiver 3. So ended up with that. And just I really like his film. I like what I see from him. But in going through a lot of those, kind of just the profiles and the statistics, Kyle Williams kept popping up. And for myself personally, Kyle Williams, just had over 1,000 yards in his last season there in college. And I think for myself, what I really saw is the Patriots probably saw something similar because they drafted him in the 3rd round, 69th overall. They take him. They're trying to get Drake May the weapons to make him a solid QB. In again, I guess I'm all in on the Patriots offense because I'm a huge Drake May guy. I'm big on Travion, and I'm big on Kyle Williams, one of my guys this year. Target share there. I mean, I think it's wide open for him to take, man. Stephon Diggs is probably on some boat right now, doing his own thing, rehabbing. He'll be back week 4 now is kind of what the news is saying. It's wide open, man. I mean, when you look at the other pieces there, you got DeMario Douglas, you got Hunter Henry, and I think when you look at the target share there between those 2 guys alone, that's over 170 targets to those guys. And Kyle Williams is better than them. And I like Pop Williams. I mean, I do. Or I'm sorry, Pop Douglas. I do. I like him. But Kyle Williams is a lot better. And so for myself personally, I mean, I see what's going on. I liked him in college. For myself personally, it's they invested in that O-line out there in New England. And for myself, I'm looking at it, dude, he's got a chance to contribute quick. And so he's one of my guys right now. He's currently 59 on Fantasy Pros and 61 on Sleeper ADP. And when you're talking about in Dynasty, dude, with guys like this going that late, 3rd round pick, wide open wide receiver core, I mean, dude, it's a smash, man. So that's one of my guys. And I know the community's big on him as well, but I mean, I can't stop drafting him, dude. I actually just took him, I want to say in the 10th round in the 11th round in a startup. And it's been awesome, dude. So I love the discount. I love him. He's one of my guys.
Yeah, this is why you do rookie drafts early in the season. Like you can have egg on your face from certain guys. Like you could probably, I mean, people had super early rookie drafts and drafted Isaiah Bond, like in the 2nd round and stuff like that. I'm not condoning, but if you draft almost immediately after the actual NFL draft, you're going to get Kyle Williams in the 4th round. Because his ADP is so depressed from him not even being in sleeper for X amount of months and then suddenly getting in there, and you could only draft him like people were waiting on him anyway. So the ADP didn't shift at all. Yep. So like when you get into these rookie drafts, he's like still a 4th round pick. He's risen up, obviously. Yep. But anything from fast draft to sleeper, if you drafted early on, you got him as amazing value.
Yeah.
And I'm with you on this. One of these motherfuckers got to hit when we're talking about the Patriots. Like they do not have the track record at all, dude. And I am a Patriots fan, and I talked about this in nauseum a couple weeks ago, where the misses of the Patriots haunt me, and I dry my tears with all of the towels that I got from the Super Bowl parades that I've gone in the last 15 years or so. Like I'm like, oh, like it's so painful. But like it is crazy, dude. They have Tyquan Thornton, and then you can even put the new guys in, like Jalen Polk and Javon Baker, and it's like
right.
Dude, it goes deeper, obviously deeper than that. Some of the guys they drafted over like DK Metcalf and like even Pickens to a lesser degree, like aren't even in the league anymore. Yeah, I mean, Mark is in here, dude. Where's everybody in the chat? Is the chat here? Who's in the chat? Let me know you guys are alive, because we got Mark in here, and he's talking about, I mean, dude, this guy was free for the Patriots, so I can't even fault them for that, but Kyle Williams has the alpha ability. He does.
Yeah, I agree.
And we're looking at a possible opportunity for Drake May and Kyle Williams to develop such chemistry. Like we got my man out on a boat, may or might not be doing illicit activities that I won't speak on, just like with OnlyFans models and stuff. Like, I don't know what he's doing. Like he's out there. I mean, he's living his life, dude. He got paid. He's fine. But yeah. And then you have the guys that I just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Butte and Baker and Polk and then Pop Douglas, who I think you and I understand he's talented, but he's never going to be more than a wide receiver 3 on a team, and that's just kind of his ceiling.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, somebody's going to catch passes. Drake May, like, you couldn't say this when it was guys like previous years, like before Drake May hit. It is what it is. Like, we know the era of Mac Jones, and then it was all murky. Like, we had the ghost of Cam and just like very sketchy options for a stretch period of time. And we're talking about somebody that is a very good quarterback. And we're talking dynasty. Drake May is somebody that you probably want to take top 8 in a rookie or in a draft, in a startup, and that's really what he's valued at, because he has the skill set, he has a bomb, and he has the ability to read defenses. And it's like, he's also somebody that I think you either love him or you don't like him, because everyone's stat boxing and stat watching, and they're like, well, he didn't do much his rookie year, and people don't watch the tape of Drake May. They don't see him for what he's worth and what he does day in and day out. They just see the fact that he didn't have good stats throwing to Butte and Baker and the random guys. Was Jacoby Myers playing last year? I don't even know who was on that team.
No, Jacoby was on the Raiders, and he was decent on the Raiders. Which
he was on the Raiders. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
We traded him.
They
bought him. Yeah, they gave the money to Juju. Yeah, they gave all that money that they had for Jacoby to Juju. So
Yep. I will say,
yeah.
Let me ask you this, because I thought that was like, this was super interesting, right? Kyle Williams or Stephon Diggs?
I mean, if we're talking about this year alone, I think I still want Kyle Williams, because I think what we alluded to just now is that they're going to have all the opportunity to build great chemistry. Yeah. And then Diggs is going to come in, and even with an injury like he's had, I don't feel good about him being full force for 8 games. Like, I don't think we're going to see the Diggs that we know, and we don't even know what Diggs is now, right? Like, I want to say that we're going to get pre-injury Diggs, but when you get injured that late in your career, you don't know what you're going to get after that. I have no idea. I'm going to roll the dice on Kyle Williams he's going to have the juice, right? And I like Diggs at value.
Yeah, and Stephon Diggs is going before him in drafts. Now, let me ask you this: Kyle Williams or Jalen McMillan?
Oh, it's Kyle Williams. And you want to talk about talent. I have these two guys, like, talent-wise, in the same tier, and I wasn't even in on Jalen McMillan, but he showed me that you can have some outliers at the draft, and you can see these guys that go a little later and they still hit, but you don't want to really bet on that. Kyle Williams has the DC, and he has the profile, and it's hard to ignore that. And not to mention, Kyle Williams could be the 1, and Jalen McMillan could be the 5 at this point. If you're factoring Cade Otton being anything, he's the tight end 1 on that team, and it's going to be tough for him to get looks if everyone's fully healthy. So it's Kyle Williams, and you're talking about him being over Kyle Williams in ADP too, right?
100%. And the last guy who I would really ask you about, which I guess for myself personally, I'm not very big on him, and I was at one point, but now it's either Kyle Williams or Michael Pittman.
I mean, Michael Pittman played injured last year, and it is tough to value him. I'm not somebody that's going to fade. So we have gotten a shift happening, and this is a format question. I think I want Pittman in a best ball format. Like, if we're talking about a fast draft app, like, we're going in there, and I think at value, Pittman could be very close in best ball ADP. And I think I might go Pittman, just because if we see a fully healthy Pittman with a dimes that can actually throw to somewhat catchable ball sometimes, I think that the situation is not pretty, but It is tough. I think in Dynasty, it's Kyle Williams
Yes,
pretty
100%.
easily, but as this is a Dynasty show, so I think I'm going to always defer that way. Yeah, Kyle Williams clears. And it's not that I like him for the opportunity. I love him talent-wise. I love his profile.
Yeah.
I was always, if you look back, I did a pod with Jeff Bell on just Kyle Williams for an hour and 15 minutes. And
I watched every second of that, dude. And that was another reason that Kyle Williams became my guy.
It was a week before the draft, I think, or close to that. But yeah, I've been on this guy, and I know so many people that I trust that are in on this guy. So yeah, I'm gonna check mark, and I'm with you on that.
My guy, dude.
I'll go to my guy. Well, one of my guys. So I think this has been an echo chamber answer for a lot of people, and a lot of people are in on this guy, and I don't care. I've liked this guy. I said, somebody told me, okay, give me this year's Terry McLaurin. And I said, Calvin Ridley. Yeah. And I am still banging that drum. I know that his ADP has shifted and people are really changing because over the summer it was fade Calvin Ridley. I think Calvin Ridley's and everyone knew that they were going to get Cam Ward anyways, but there was still this mindset that like Calvin Ridley was cooked.
Yeah.
He's getting a Deebo Samuel treatment. They're like, well, he's done, even though he did have a decent year last year.
Yeah, he did.
With, I couldn't tell you all the quarterbacks that they had. And it's tough because like, I don't know if it's going to be a played out situation here, but who is going to be the depth chart breakdown on this team? Because we did see Restrepo picked up and then Io Namar's on we got Io Namar on the team.
Yep.
Who I like.
I think he's a good dude.
Yeah, and then we have Dyke and I don't know. That's about the whole layout of the team. Tyler Lockett's on the team, I believe. Yeah. Tyler over there.
Tyler Lockett. You got Trey Burks, wide receiver 1, baby.
Yeah, I mean, Calvin Ridley's set up because of his skill set. And I think Io Namar still could really carve out a good role. And I'm still in on Restrepo at value. I think that, they obviously played in college. They could definitely have a connection that you can't deny. But for talent purposes and for the fact that he's the only guy that's played in the NFL on that roster, essentially, like we can't even say Burks has because, we could say
Burks hasn't done shit.
He's played a total of maybe 5 games total, like as in his entire 4-year career at this point. But I think we are looking at somebody that still has a lot of juice. We are looking at somebody that is not so far removed from being a very viable wide receiver 1 in fantasy. Yeah. And this could be possibly the best quarterback that he's played with since aged out Matt Ryan. I mean, that's really the reality of it. And you can say that he needed some time to come back. And I think the last couple of years have been pretty tough situationally, but this is really a perfect storm for him. This is like, hey, I'm here to show you guys that I still have it. And he's shown that he does have the burst. He has the route tree. He understands the game. I like the way he comes in and out of his breaks. He's still got a lot of juice, man. He's not like a Tyreek Hill that's slowing down. I think a lot of that time away from the field has benefited him. Like he's going to enter into this is more of his, I'm not going to say prime, but he's still got a lot of game left. And I think this year, even though this might not carry over for next year, when they do have the DC to go and get some guys, or it becomes a desirable spot, especially if Cam Ward blows up. If Cam Ward has a massive rookie year, You know what I mean? Like, this is going to be a hot spot for wide receivers. People are going to want to come in as free agents, and then, it's a good trade target market over there as well. Not that people want to go to Tennessee, but it's still going to be the fact that they want to play with Cam Ward. So if you're in on Cam Ward, you can't be out on Calvin Ridley at this point. And I think that we are looking at, I'm not going to say a Terry McLaurin type year, but I would easily net him for over, I'm going to say 1,109 touchdowns.
That wouldn't be outside the realm of possibilities, dude. I mean,
I think that's really what I have him as, and his ADP. I mean, in Dynasty, I just got him in the 12th round, and this is after Cam Ward's arrival.
Yeah, see, that's insane. I'm telling you, yeah. In my start, it's funny, man, because I also got Calvin Ridley in another startup. I actually just posted it. One of my recent posts is about Calvin Ridley, and I think if I were to look it up right now, I'll tell you, actually. He was... Let's find out. I think, if I'm not mistaken, dude, Calvin Ridley right here. 1008.
Yeah, that's crazy to me, because
I'll take that. I'll take that all day.
Cam Ward's got it. He's got a gun, dude. He's got the ability to really throw it. He's got the ability to hit you. He's not afraid of throwing by any means. Like, if you watch Cam Ward in college, like, yeah, he's a gunslinger, and yes, he does throw some wild ones, but like, for the most part, he trusts his guys to go up and get the ball. And I think Calvin Ridley fits the profile to really be that safety blanket for Cam Ward. You can say that Chig could be a big value on this team as well, but I think that early on, especially early on in the season, when all the rookies are still adjusting to the game speed and really trying to get used to just like playing in the NFL as a whole, you're going to see a lot of Calvin Ridley, like a lot, Before we kick it on to one of your guys, we are going to join the Podfather. He's going to talk about the new Origins promo, and then we'll drop that promo code right after.
Let's do it.
It is a damn shame we only get to do a handful of rookie drafts every season. After doing all this rookie analysis, you want more bites at the apple. And that's why we have the Fast Draft Origins tournament. You draft 6 rookies, the top 4 into your lineup. It's best ball style, and it's just $5 to win a $5,000 first prize. So if you're passionate about Taj Brooks or RJ Harvey, get on Fast Draft and use your favorite creator's code to get a $50 deposit match. A $50 deposit match to go make thousands of dollars drafting the rookies that you know and love.
My man had an apple. I haven't seen the end of that video.
Apple I've ever heard, dude. That thing was
didn't
crazy.
know that he had an apple, so that's cool. Yeah. So if you go to Fast Draft app, if you're not in there yet, if you go on and you hit promo code Degens, so DEGEN, you can get up to a $50 deposit match on us. So that's promo code DEGEN. And we are talking my guys. So we are talking about our guys that we think are massive values, or we're just in on these guys. We want a part of them. We want a piece of them. And I think I'm either trading for them or grabbing them. The couple guys that we've talked about so far have been Kyle Williams. And then I just talked about, Calvin Ridley. Man, I'm losing it already. That bite of the apple really threw me off, dude. I gotta talk to Matt about that.
You gotta get you an apple, dude.
Dude, he put me in the underworld right there. He just like, I'm in the upside down right now. So, but yeah, so we're talking Kyle Williams, Calvin Ridley, and then we're gonna go one of your guys. So hit me with one of your guys, the second guy that you're in on.
Second guy, man. For myself personally, so we're keeping this old guy train going. And for myself personally, usually when dynasty players see a player over the age of 28, they're kind of turned off by him. But this guy actually had one of his best seasons coming into the 2024 season, and he had one of his best seasons behind a rookie. Wide receiver 15 last season. And something I want to call out before I even name drop, dude. If I were to tell you this guy was actually dropping 18 points per game from weeks 8 to 18 and averaging 0.1 less than Justin Jefferson and 0.2 more than Ladd McConkey during that time frame, you'd be like, dude, I'm all in on this guy. That's Cortland Sutton. And I think for myself personally, we saw Bo Nix progressively get better throughout the year, and we saw the accuracy get better. We saw him step up in the pocket, things he wasn't doing in the past. Bo Nix is another great guy that, I think came out of nowhere. And we talked about, you talked about Cam Ward being a guy that if he comes out and pops out, Tennessee's going to be a place to go. I feel like Denver became that, like one of those hot places. Denver and Washington benefited from their rookie quarterbacks playing well, and I think Cam Ward can do that. But Cortland Sutton really benefited from Bo Nix. And so I think for myself personally, again, that time span from weeks 8 to 18, he was almost a league winner for you. He was a wide receiver 1 every single week for you, and you probably got him in that wide receiver 3 range. And again, because he's over the age of 28, wide receiver 43 right now, I think he's criminally underrated right now. And going into this year, I expect really, really similar pieces. Like last year, dude, even though, weeks 1 through 8, he was training to be about a wide receiver 3, ends up being, again, wide receiver 15 for the year, ends up with over almost 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns. Like, dude, this man balled. And I think it was, it's kind of getting brushed under the rug because you guys got, everyone looks at Terry McLaurin, looks at these big guys that blew up, but Cortland Sutton actually had a really, really underrated season, and I'm stoked to get him this year. He's going for cheap. Another one of the guys that you can get in startups past the 9th, 10th round, and he's such a value going where he's going. So Denver didn't really add much in the draft. Yes, they did go through. They added Pat Bryant in the 3rd, which I actually really like, and it could be one of those later dart throw guys as well. But really just not much, man, at the wide receiver position. RJ Harvey, one of my guys as well. But, overall for me, Cortland Sutton was a big winner from the draft. And he continues to be a really, really good steal.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that Cortland Sutton, I missed a train on him quite a bit because
Me too.
I think that I did have this little bias of him being injury. I didn't say injury prone, but I'm just like, I can't see him coming back to fruition. Like he can't net me what I'm going to have to put in to get him kind of thing, and he has, and I was completely wrong on Cortland Sutton. And I put my tail between my legs all the time when we're talking about him on pods and stuff, because he's been nothing but consistent, like his tenure right now, like the way that he's been riding with, it's his second career, as I like to call it. But like, yeah, he's been absolutely solid, consistent. And I think that you are constantly undervaluing these guys because it is, 29 is 29. It's tough, but we're just touched on, I think Calvin Ridley's 28, 29 too. We're touching on all these guys because there is a cliff that guys fall off of, but it is more so for the guys that are completely reliant on speed for separation.
Yeah.
The skill sets that we're talking about, they have route trees. They have the ability to stop go. They have the ability to read a defense and change, and they have defensive manipulation. Like that's who Calvin Ridley is. That's who Cortland Sutton is. These guys win other ways. They use their intelligence. They use the way that they can actually read a defense. That comes with years in the league. That comes with, you're just a football guy. And you look at guys like Tyreek who don't have that, dude. You know what I mean? Like they don't have the defensive manipulation. They have the stop go, but it's speed. And once there's a little drop, and it's like you see it with Tyreek right now. Yep. He's already like tumbling in ADP, and he's already falling and falling and falling. And it's like the little drop that these guys take before the massive drop. And that's what, like Julio Jones took forever. He's not a good example, but like there are guys that they see a little blip and then all of a sudden it's just like, snowball. We're going to see Tyreek in the 13th round next year. And it's going to happen, dude. Not to get sidetracked here, but Cortland Sutton is lined up for another wide receiver 1 year. I was looking at his stats just now, and it's like 81 for over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. I think you could literally get that same exact stat line this year.
I have him projected at 27 yards over what he got last year, and that's the addition of what they did. Easily, dude. You're looking at that target share is going to be very similar to what they did. Yes, they did bring in Evan Ingram, who I do think is going to be actually really he's actually going on like completely under the radar for what I think he can do in that offense. But I mean, it's not going to take away from Cortland Sutton. If anything, it's going to open it up for him. I think, to your point, Cortland Sutton's he's not beating you on speed. He's beating you on those quick routes. He had less than 300 yards after the catch last year. So when you're talking about a guy like him, to your point, like he eats you up on those middle of the field, on those, big, just throw it up in the air and let him catch the ball kind of throws. And that's really where he's going to beat you. But I've got him projected at over 1,100 yards this season. And I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities for him, dude. Not in that offense.
No, I don't either. I mean, I think that Bo Nix is going to produce at a exact same level as he did. I don't see a much improvement because it's hard to see that improvement in year 2. Yep. A lot of teams are adjusting. They got a lot of tape on you. They see the way that you move, the way that you coming in and out of the pocket, and they get your tells. They get it. They see that things that worked for you year 1 don't normally work for you year 2. That's the reality of it. So I'm not going to say he's going to drop down like CJ Stroud by any means, because that was really a lot of factors that was just out of his hands. Like he didn't have control over that. But we are going to see him have to make a lot of adjustments this year. Yep. And it's going to be fun to see how this breaks down. Like Pat Bryant is the first guy that this coaching staff has really taken and chosen on their own. I don't know who's getting squeezed out, because we're looking at Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, Pat Bryant, and then Troy Franklin. And I mean, I would imagine that Troy Franklin is probably the odd man out in this scenario. Yeah. And then Ingram is going to get his, obviously. But I think Cortland Sutton, you could probably talk about all 3 or 4 other guys. Sutton and Ingram are set and forget it producers in this offense.
Agreed.
The rest is buddy. We got my man dropping this right now. I think the 28, like Cortland Sutton and Bele are probably close to the same age. I think that they are not that far off. Like they went to high school at the same time. I think that's crazy to me, because Cortland Sutton feels like he's been in the league for, I mean, what year did he come in?
For so long, dude. What is he?
He came in at 2018. He's been in the league for almost 8 years. So yeah. Oh man.
And just into perspective, dude, like how low Cortland Sutton is right now. It's like I've got him over guys like Brandon Ayuk, who, I mean, I know with Brandon Ayuk right now, the injury comes into play, and a lot of these, these factors are coming in, but in that offense, and he's coming back from that injury, who knows? But I mean, I would take Cortland Sutton over Brandon Ayuk. And that's just like for myself personally, and that's both in redraft and of course in Dynasty. But something like that, I look at guys like that, I'm like, dude, if I can get him after everyone takes the Ayuks of the world, I mean, even to your point, man, like in a redraft, Tyreek Hill or Cortland Sutton, like I think I'm taking Cortland Sutton. And I don't think that's a bold take. I think with everything we saw last year and had kind of like what we saw, hopefully I'm wrong, but I mean, I'd be taking Cortland Sutton over that. And that's why he's one of my guys for this, because I definitely think he continues to be really underrated.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think he's always going to be one of those guys that is just like flies under the radar, because he doesn't have like monster games. But then when you look at it, when all's said and done, he was like a staple of consistency. Like he doesn't like have these boom games, and I think that's why people don't necessarily like love him in Dynasty and fantasy in general. But like he's still going to be a stabilizer on your teams. He's going to have that floor that you look for at least 3 to 4 guys on your team, because you need that consistency. And then you kind of like build around those consistent blocks with volatile assets like the JMOs and these guys that at any moment can break out for a 98-yard touchdown. And you're like, okay, like this is going to win my week all day. We're gonna kick it over to me, and I'm going with a guy that is very polarizing. Like we are talking about somebody that I think, depending on person to person, it's a love-hate relationship. I think the Chicago fans are very not in love with this guy. I think that, you can go over and look at the Steelers and think that they're upset they don't have this guy anymore. And then really, I don't Dynasty guys, it's tough because he's been in and out and not consistently starting. So it's hard to sell for a lot of people. But if we're talking about just for this season, Justin Fields is the massive, biggest buy for somebody that is contending for this year. I am so in on Justin Fields for this year. There is a 99% chance that we see a full year of Justin Fields. And, to remind people of what a full year of Justin Fields is, with nobody, you know what I mean? Like with Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet, still a very viable fantasy asset, somebody that has one of the highest weekly ceilings that we've seen. And then when we saw him with the DJ Moore, he was electric, dude. You know what I mean? And full healthy Justin Fields with the team that they have. The Jets offensive line was a little banged up last year, but I think that they are probably better than any team that he's been on. I think as far as at least the protection goes, I think we can see a top 10 fantasy finish for Justin Fields. If you're rostered, sorry, I live in Boston and everyone drives like a massive. Can you hear those cars back there?
I did, dude. I mean, I was just going to ignore it, but I mean,
dude, there's it is red engine time of the day. They're like, okay, all your kids are sleeping. Let's just really get into this. But yeah, it is I think we are looking at somebody that you can trade for Justin Fields value right now. You could probably get him for a 202, 203 range, and it might take a first at this point because he's a locked-in starter. But I think if you're counting rushing in your leagues, there's no reason why you shouldn't be all in on Fields, especially in a PPC league that is going to give you extra points for the rushing. And it's just I get it, dude. The only reason that I fade out these rushing quarterbacks is because their job security. Justin Fields has no way to lose this job this year. I think that even if he has a very subpar year, the Jets are finally going to be okay with just let's just hit the restart button. I think this team is finally in a place where they're moving off of all of the old assets and they're not delusional thinking that they're going to be a contender. So if they have a bad Justin Fields, I think there's no way they replace him because I think that benefits them even more. Yeah. And even a bad Justin Fields still produces fantasy points. Agreed. Even a bad Justin Fields he might throw 2 interceptions a game and he might rush for 2 and get 2 throwing. He might score he's still going to get you 20 points a game,
you just can't dismiss the fact that he had over 1,100 rushing yards, in that QB7 season that he had. Dude, I've been a Justin Fields guy since he joined the league. And I mean, I have been big on him since he joined the league. And part of it, to your point, was that rushing upside is kind of everyone's chasing the next Josh Allen. Everyone's chasing that next Lamar Jackson. And I mean, you've seen what it does to fantasy value. And for guys like Patrick Mahomes, who over the last 2 years hasn't been the best. But even if he had a little bit of rushing upside, I mean, you look at that and it's Justin Fields can put up better weeks than Patrick Mahomes. And, a lot of these middle of the QB1 tiered quarterbacks just because of that rushing upside. And I mean, to your point, that year alone, dude, when he was QB7, he was throwing it to absolutely nobody. And he was able to put up those numbers. And I think this Jets team is the best team that he's been on since he's been in the NFL. And the best coaching staff he's had. We were talking about Garrett Wilson earlier. He's got Garrett Wilson. He's got the best running back he's had. I mean, there are just a lot of factors that go into the thing with Justin Fields was that, he felt like he had to put the team on his back because he did. There was nobody else there. And here, to what we were saying, it's He's got Breece Hall. They actually have a really good defense. We're talking about, a new head coach coming in and like really being able to hopefully switch up the culture there a little bit for the Jets. And I think Aaron Glenn's the guy to do that. But I mean, I think there's not as much pressure on Justin Fields to perform. And so I think that's really going to help him, dude. Like, I think he takes a step forward in the right direction. And when I saw that you had him as one of your guys, like that was going to be one of my guys. So I'm just as passionate on him. I think we're on the same path there, but I'm stoked for him.
Yeah, and I think that you can really hammer that home where it's this guy was taken with a high draft capital. Like he was, you know what I mean? Like he was the face of the franchise. Like Chicago took this guy, they said, this is our guy. They really like fucked around with him, to be honest. They really messed around with him a little bit. Obviously they put a lot of negative thoughts inside of his head, but he's not much older, but I think he's had this moment to be grounded. And he understands that this pressure is like way, like it's like ballooned out, there's no way that there should be this much pressure on him in general, especially given the scenario that he's had. He went over to Pittsburgh and, on a minimal contract, essentially traded for nothing, and that alone had to be like, okay, I'm not really that guy, I'm not really the guy that you guys drafted me for, like I probably a lot of disappointment, a lot of adjustment when it comes to his thought process. And we saw him be a very stable, legitimate quarterback. And I think there was a lot of confusion when they went to Russ last year. I think that, he was leading the team to a lot of victories, and he wasn't having to do a lot, but at the same time, he was limiting his turnovers, and it showed me that he has matured a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then you put into the factor that this is a show me year for this guy. Like there is a lot of reasons why he could be somebody like Darnold and Geno that is in a position to bridge, but really plays himself into a massive contract. Like he could have a very good year, a la, like we're talking about Darnold last year. There's no way we saw him as more of a couple game bridge guy, like he's been his entire career, right? Like nobody thought that he was going to play the whole year, right? Like even when JJ McCarthy got hurt, everyone was like, they're going to get, everyone wanted to trade for dimes. They were like, go trade for Daniel Jones. They would go, there was no thought that he was going to be a good quarterback for an entire year. Mm-hmm. And I think that he has none of the skill set that Justin Fields has. He has nothing similar to what Justin Fields does. And it's just, dude, it's such an easy tap. And we're talking about somebody that is not even worth a first in most leagues. And you could probably get him, I don't know, like redraft is, even if you play superflex redraft, you could probably get him like way back in the 7th, 8th round, and I think he has a higher ceiling than guys like Stroud, Bryce Young, whoever it is that goes way above him. I don't have the ADP in front of my face, but his ceiling is much higher than anybody that doesn't have that rushing ability by a long shot,
Yep. 100% agree with you. I think I posted something the other day that I thought was really interesting. And it was Justin Fields or Bryce Young in Dynasty. And some of the responses I thought from a lot of folks were just like, hey, Bryce Young, if you're looking to kind of, just if you're rebuilding, and then Justin Fields, if you're looking to kind of just like, compete this year. And I just thought to myself, I mean, Justin Fields is only 26 though, dude. And so, I mean, like it maybe feels like he's been in the league a lot longer, just because to your point of just like the lack of success that he had in Chicago. And then he goes to the Steelers and actually has success, puts up the best career completion percentage that he's ever put up, leads them to a 4-2 record. He does all the right things, and he gets benched for Russ. And it's like, what? And so, I mean, for myself, like I'm taking him over Bryce Young all day, man. And then, I mean, even Tua is above him. And for myself personally, like I got Justin Fields way above both of those guys.
Yeah, Tua is crazy because it's not even about the re-injury concern. to me. It factors in a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but Tua's just not a very good quarterback. And
No, he's not.
and people are talking about Tua being like this and that, but dude, while we see Tyreek dying, Tua's dying with him.
Yep.
Like we never saw Tua as a legitimate quarterback, and he's been closer to a Mac Jones his entire career. He doesn't have an arm. He does something that Mac Jones doesn't do, and he limits the ball turnovers and everything. Like he has ball security to an extent, but he still has games where he's like 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions, 4 interceptions. Like he still does it. But the difference has been that he's got these elite weapons, and he's got McDaniels to really hold his hand and set up a game plan. But I think there's going to be some exposure that people that like Tua don't really want to hear. I think that we're going to see massive regression, like even without the injury. I don't think we're going to see somebody that's going to lead the team to, I think they were scoring a lot of points when Tua was fully healthy. I just don't see it. I think that the team is going to have a different DNA this year.
I agree with that.
I think I'm out on anybody in Miami, and that includes a chain. Like that includes even the running backs. I just think that the offense is not going to be as efficient, and it's not going to be what people think it was. People have this idea of what the offense was, but that's almost a year and a half removed from now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When we envision like the Tua, and because last year was almost a wash with Tua, like really, it was like almost a dead year. So it's tough. And to touch on Justin Fields' age, Justin Fields is less than a year older than Bo Nix.
There you go, man. There you go, baby. It's field season.
Like, yeah. So, yeah, I think I nailed it. He's born in September and he's born in February. Yeah. So it's
crazy, dude.
It is wild. Yeah. I mean, Bo Nix is old as hell, but that man can ball. So Bo Nix was Van Wilder. That dude was in college for 6 years, I believe. COVID changed everything, though. I mean, like
it did change everything, dude. I was going to say,
but like 5 or 6 years ago, like if you heard that a guy was in college for 7 years, like, dude, call the cops because like that's weird. You know what I mean? Like now it's like they just are. It is what it is. It's just expected. RJ Harvey's old. Like all these guys are like coming out 24, 25 years old. So.
I just thought about that, man. Like, what is up with Denver and drafting old college players? You've got Bo Nix. You've got RJ Harvey. They drafted Melee last year. I mean, I guess it's Sean Payton's style, I guess. But
dude, I know collectively they have the oldest, youngest team. Like it's like these guys have the least amount of time in the league, but are the oldest in the league at the same time. Like their average age is like 28, and half the team was drafted 2 years ago. Like it's incredible. So I mean, yeah, and then you add Cortland Sutton to inflate it a little bit, and then there's how old's Ingram? Ingram's 28 years old. Yeah, it's an old team, man.
I think Ingram's he's older.
Yeah, he's like 28, 29 years old. This is his last. Ingram's a my guy. I think I went with lesser obvious guys, but like Ingram is so money this year. Like Ingram
he's gonna be a star.
And he's a big time value in a lot of drafts, and people still aren't valuing him like they should be. But let's we're talking about tight end, so let's talk about your my guy tight end over there. That kind of blew up.
One of my guys, man, and again, someone else right now that is big, and he's kind of just blowing up a little bit because I think everyone sees the potential, man. And I think Jacksonville's an exciting place. They've got Liam Cohen over there. They drafted Travis Hunter. I think there's a lot of excitement in Jacksonville. Brian Thomas Jr., who I think is, going to be a top 5 wide receiver for a long time. He's one of my guys as well. But I think for myself here, one of my guys for this year is Brent Strange, dude. Brenton Strange, I think, obviously goes under the radar right now. When you're looking at some of the tight ends that he's going after, he's like in like the tight end 30 range right now. And for me, that's absolutely insane for a starting tight end on a new head coach who we know is going to get the ball moving in Jacksonville, who we know, and we saw him bring out the best in Cade Otton last year. And then, from Brenton Strange, looking at the small production that we saw while Evan Ingram was out for the first 4 games of the season, 5 targets. He's averaging 5 targets a game when he was out. Doesn't sound like a lot, but he was putting up the points, man. He was getting the red zone targets. He was putting up almost 10 points a game. He had 3 top 10 finishes in the tight end realm. And Brenton Strange was 2023 was a second round draft capital. So it's not like they drafted him in the 6th, 7th round, expecting him to kind of just be a blocker and, kind of just to go in there every now and then play. He's got the draft capital. So when you're talking about a guy who is right now going after Theo Johnson and Jatavion Sanders in Dynasty, I'm like, dude, what am I missing? Like, what is happening? And so he continues to just be the guy that, I offered a 3rd for him in a league, and it got smash accepted. And I was like, a 2020, literally a 2026 3rd or Brenton Strange, I'm taking Brenton Strange all day, especially in tight end premium leagues and non-tight end premium leagues. He's going to be a big value asset. And so the way that I see him having, and the season I really see him having, is so Cade Otton last year was tight end 14, puts up nearly 60 receptions, 600 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That is not out of the realm of possibilities for Brenton Strange, who, if you invest in at that tight end 30 price and he puts up those stats, he's playing. He's borderline top tight end 1 numbers in that tier. So that's one of my guys. That's my guy for tonight. But I think for Brenton Strange, dude, I'm telling everyone, he's one of those guys that I'm like, dude, you just go out there and offer a 3rd, offer something like that for him, and chances are it's going to get accepted. But he's extremely underrated.
Yeah, I'm very in on Brenton Strange. I'm very in on any guy that is a tight end coming from Penn State. And I'll be straight honest, I helmet scout these guys. I loved Mike Gesicki coming out. I really did. I was like, oh, he's just a wide receiver playing tight end. I really love Theo. I love Theo. I have a big soft spot for Theo. I think he's going to be a big time player for the Giants this year. If fully healthy, I think that he could be, the second option on that team. If we're really looking at a team that needs playmakers, it is incredible how much talent at this position that Penn State develops. They always push out guys. We might see Gesicki put up a top 10 tight end season this year.
Yeah.
If he fully healthy on this team as the full-time starter, and he is going to be catching passes from Joe Burrow, and T. Higgins is going to probably see at least 4 to 5 games missed this year because he got paid and he's back to, hey man, I'm good on this player. I'm good on this game. Kind of T. Higgins.
Yeah.
I think that he's going to have a lot of opportunity, but sidetracked, this Penn State love is real, man. I think Brenton Strange was somebody that I wanted to see right away. And he has more of the traditional tight end entrance, which I think I like more. I want to see my guy develop behind somebody else, or really just take their time in showing that they understand the game, because tight end position is, from what I understand, the hardest position to follow and to play in the NFL, because you are kind of like an O lineman. There's a lot of variances. There's a lot of things. You have to be very good in pass pro. You have if you don't see guys that block, you either have to be in 2 tight end sets or you're not going to see the field very often, depending on the team. So I just think there's a lot more to get it understood and really to hone in to be a master of your craft. So the fact that Brenton Strange stood back and really learned from, one of the better guys in the NFL, he really just probably picked up on as much possible. And Ingram seems like a really good guy, to play behind. So I think he would be somebody that would have no problem, taking under his wing and really just teaching him how to play the game.
Yep.
And then we saw what he did without Ingram last year. We saw that he is a very viable back end tight end one. And we're talking about tight end one landscape. It doesn't take much to be a back end tight end one.
Yep.
You can be a back end tight end one and score 9 to 10 points. And that's fine, dude. If you have a very good roster and you are looking like you can eat a 10-pointer or like an 8-pointer, you can eat that. Like you can't 0 burgers. No. And you're going to get that from the tight end position more than anything else.
Yeah.
You
want that, draft Kyle Pitts.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to get the 0 burger from this position. It's very hard unless you have like a start 32 league or something. Like it's not gonna happen, but like tight ends, they do get phased out. They become blockers. It's you got to be very careful with these guys that are very good at blocking because they just become in tough matchups, they're just blockers the whole game. And you're like, well, all right, dude. Like I've had so many years of redraft where I'm like, why did I take this guy? Like, what did I been doing? You're trying to stream tight end position, waking up at 3 a.m. when the waivers cleared, and just like setting alarms and stuff. Your wife, this is how you guys become divorced because they drink until the waiver clears on redraft, and they're like, oh baby, like I gotta wait until I gotta get this tight end defense before they clear up.
Oh, because I didn't draft Brenton Strange.
Yeah, fuck, I should have drafted Brett. I love him. I mean, the team is a little scary, I'll be honest though, because I have to see that, the quarterback over there can really sustain a full year of more than 1 or 2 options, because we didn't really see him. We didn't see the boost and the monster games of Brian Thomas Jr. until Mac Jones arrived. Is that silly to really observe? Because it's the reality. Like the boom games, he was so good, and you're like, wow, he's good. But when Mac Jones came, you were like, damn, he's fucking really good. Like he is. Nobody was like, oh, he's in a tier of neighbors until Mac Jones started throwing him the ball. And then all of a sudden we were like, maybe he's as good as neighbors. Maybe he is the wide receiver 2 of the class, maybe, so it scares me.
Yeah.
As somebody that's observed this the whole year.
I think that Jaguars team was just decimated by injuries. And when you're talking about like name besides Parker Washington, like who was the other wide receiver they had? Because Christian Kirk was out. Gabe Davis was hurt. Like
Gabe Davis was hurt. Man, who was like really
That's what I mean, though. You know what I mean? Like,
and then you can make the case that Brian Thomas Jr. is kind of like, was he really good because there was nothing there? I mean, I'm not going to say that. I just said that, but I don't mean that.
Yeah, but then the other side of that, too, is like defenses knew he was going to get the ball, and he's still torching them, dude. Like,
you can. Yeah, I mean, it goes both ways, right? Because like you could triple team this guy, and you know that he's the only option on the team. Mm-hmm. I can't even think of anything. I can't think of who was playing. It was Tank Bigsby was in the backfields. Now this is going to bother me. Who was?
Yeah, I was going to say. I'm just going to look up like week 12, Jacksonville
depth chart. Week 12. I don't even know how to look this up.
Look at this. I'm literally just like looking at their game, which they won against the Houston Texans. They beat the Houston Texans that day. Let's find out. Let's see what it looked like.
They had Parker Washington. They had, I guess, Diami Brown was not on that team.
No, he was not on that team. I'm telling you.
Who is on this team?
Let me see the roster from 2024. It keeps giving me the 2025 roster, which is just frustrating.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time on this.
Yeah, but anyways, I mean, that's, to your point, like, I get it, but he also just had nobody throw. I mean, dude, again, we talk about injuries. Evan Ingram was, half-assed, like, playing out there. He was playing on a bum, what was it, his knee that he jacked up? I mean, just nothing, dude. So,
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that Brenton Strange can be, I mean, at value right now, like, yes, absolutely on Brenton Strange. Do I think that he's going to be booming every week? I don't know if I can get behind that, but I think that there's so many people that are in on the Jaguars having a massive year. So it's like, if that's the case, if this offense is finally humming, Trevor Lawrence just scares the shit out of me, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's been tough.
It's been so tough. Yeah. Devin Duvernay was on that team last year. I don't remember hearing his name once, though. Like, I don't remember being like, oh, another Duvernay week. Like, no, I never came out of my mouth. So
it's just nuts. See, so I mean, even now, like, I'm looking, they won against the Titans in week 14. And they won, I mean, shit, they won 10-6. That's not saying much. But their top, but they're, I mean, Mac Jones threw for 220 that game, and he threw it to your point there, to Brian Thomas. Evan Ingram was back at that point. You had Etienne, Duvernay, Parker Washington. That's it. I mean, dude, they had nobody.
I think the hill that I'm always going to die on is that Mac Jones and Tua are the same player.
I would agree with you on that one. Tua was probably one of the players, is one of the players who I never had a dynasty share of. Never really bought into it, and never really had anything of no ownership of Tua, and never really cared for it. So
yeah, I'm with you on that. Let's kill this. Let's end it with one of my guys here. So this is some spice that I dropped earlier today, and I think that I want to see it more than I think it could come to fruition. But I am looking around at the weapons that Jaden Daniels has, and I see Terry, and then I don't know, man. It is a relatively wide open team still, as far as who is going to be that second guy, who's going to be the guy that demands the targets. And I love Fat Debo to slide into this hybrid role that he had, that I think when we are breaking the entire team down, and let me paint the picture for you very fast, I guess. So Brian Thomas Jr. is just a guy, right? He is a guy that is going to get carries. He's probably going to see goal line carries, but he's not an efficient player. He's not by any means somebody that you trust week to week, right? Like, I think that last year we were just like, oh, the offense is humming. He's doing great. But I don't think that is going to transfer over, and then what, Krosky Merritt is the guy behind him, which is like the ex-darling, the guy that, I mean, I like a lot, but I like a lot because I wasn't in on this guy before, but I'm in on this guy now. And it's like a transition, because I'm like, okay, he's all they have kind of thing. But like, what if Deebo Samuel sees that kind of usage that he saw when he was the wide receiver 3 or 4, whatever he ended up as in 2020? Is that 2023, 2022?
I think it was 2022. Yeah.
And what if we are looking at a Debo that isn't fully, he probably isn't going to be healthy the whole year,
Yeah.
But I think they are looking at this as, could he be a hybrid guy, or is he just going to be a wide receiver? Like, could they have him where they faded running back in the draft essentially? Like, yeah, they might be really high on Krosky merit, but like, what if they're gonna give Debo carries out of the backfield? What if he's going to work in that slot role and really just kind of work off the line of scrimmage, you know? And they are going to have Terry on the outside and really just like have Ertz in the middle and then maybe, you know, like another guy. Like, who else is on that team, dude? Like,
I mean,
who else is
they got the rookie Jalen Lane is someone who I'm throwing a late dart throw on. I mean, dude,
Sure.
everybody on that team is going to be a free agent after this year. They drafted him, not a lot of draft capital, but dude, they drafted him. He's quick, man. 4.34 speed. I think to your point, like he comes in, I think he kind of just like he learned a little bit from Debo because I think to your point, I do see them utilizing Debo in that gadget tool. They got Brian Robinson, who he's fine. He's whatever. He's Brian Robinson. They have Austin Eckler, who is a shadow of who he used to be. Love him, but I mean just it's again we talk about that age 30. That cliff really happened for him, and so they really have nobody there. I think Debo's the guy, but Jalen Lane is actually someone who I think is going to be dope there. But besides Lane, Debo, McLaurin, I mean, oh, you know what? They got Michael Gallup, who
my
is not very
gosh.
exciting, but they got Michael Gallup.
I don't even know if he's going to make the team, dude. I'll be honest. I think that that's probably going to be possible cut.
Yeah.
They have Noah Brown over there. So it is like it's going to be the Debo Terry show for one more year. I think that we are going to see Zach Ertz play out. I think that Zach Ertz is going to play the whole year. And I think we're going to finally see Ben Sinnott like have his time to shine.
I hope so, dude. He was one of my guys last year.
Yeah. I think that it's going to happen. I just don't know when it's going to happen, but it's not even a take that I think it's just an obvious take that nobody's really like honed in on, like how is nobody, because everyone thinks that he's cooked. Everyone thinks that Debo is cooked. They clearly traded for him. Wait, they traded for Debo, right? They traded for Debo.
They did. Yep.
Yeah, they traded for Debo for him to have a massive role on this team. They did not draft anybody on the offense, like at all. You're talking about Jalen Lane. They didn't invest on nowhere. You know what I mean? Like they subtracted, if anything, and then they added Debo. So Debo is big in their plans this year. Like they are very much in on using Debo to his full potential, I think. And he seems like he's lined up to be a massive value everywhere. I think that it's hard to ignore Debo at ADP. And then with this team breakdown, it just feels like who else? This is a situation where I could say, who else do they have? Yeah. Who else is going to make plays? Yep. Is Terry going to get 25 targets a game? Like, no. Jaden Daniels loves to sprinkle the ball. He loves to spread it around. I think Debo is going to easily get 5 to 7 targets a game and probably 3 to 4 carries a game.
Yeah, he should.
That's going to probably put him up there as a high-end wide receiver too.
Yep. And he's going to get red zone carries, dude. That's like the thing, right? Because like in the end zone, they're not giving it to Eckler. Brian Robinson was getting some of those red zone touches last year, but again, he was inefficient with them. He wasn't doing much with them. So that's another reason I think they did bring Debo, and they didn't really draft a running back. They got 7th round, 7th round from Arizona. I forgot what his name is.
Krosky Merit.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
They got you're talking about Ja'Cory Brooks over there too, but he's
that's not the guy getting the red zone touches though. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be Debo.
No. Sorry, I'm playing music. Yeah, it just seems too obvious, man. I mean, let's recap our guys. So hit these people. So I'm gonna say my guys. So my guys are Calvin Ridley, Justin Fields, and Debo Samuel. And then my guest Lobo I had
Kyle Williams, Cortland Sutton, and Brennan Strange, baby.
I mean, I think this is it's not just a my guys list, but it's like these guys are all values at drafting. Like you can get any of these guys for very cheap. They're not like it's like obvious my guys. Like I'm not going to tell you that I'm all in on Jahmyr Gibbs this year. You know, like I think everyone knows that and everyone understands it. But I think this list as a whole, bro. I mean, besides Calvin Ridley, I mean, I could see the case for Justin Fields, but like your entire my guy list, like are full fades on a lot of people's lists. You know, like I know that people like Kyle Williams, but there's no way that they're going to make them like full fledged. I need this guy. But I think that there's a case for all these guys to have way more value this year than what we're seeing as far as the reflective value goes, you know?
Yep. And I wanted to come in here with that take because I think for a lot of people, obviously, you know, it's very easy to say like my guy this year is, I mean, I think my guy for a lot of folks is Marvin Harrison Jr., right? I think we all expect a bigger season from him. So to come in here and tell you like my guy's Marvin Harrison was going to be just not really of a value to you and all the listeners, but it was just like, who are the guys that I'm gung-ho on that are going to be like, you know what? These guys next year, I'm going to regret really not drafting them. And I think it's these three guys. So I'm pretty stoked about it.
Yeah, I'm stoked about it too, man. And I really appreciate you coming on today, dude. It was really fun just talking nonsense with you. And yeah, it was good to just have a pod with a bro, man. You know, like we're talking about doing fun. That was a lot of fun. I'm sorry I took you away from games with Coop, though.
No, it's all good, man. Yeah. I saw a text come through from him. So hopefully he was saying how awesome we were doing and how much valuable information we were giving him. So who knows?
He's probably not saying that, dude. He's probably saying, dude, when are you gonna dip? But dude, so you're with Fantrax, excuse me. I said Fast Tracks. I have Fast Draft in my mind. But tell everybody where they can find your content, what you have coming up, everything that is in the works or on the stove right now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So you guys can find me on X, Lobo's FFDen. Always chatting football, always chatting bullshit. I'm just there to have fun, like I said, man. So anything you guys want chat about, I'm there. Find me on X. I do write for Fantrax. We've got our draft kit that is going to be coming out here over the next couple of weeks. You'll find some of my articles within the draft kit. And we will also be going through during the season. I love to kind of just draft up some content in the season for waiver wire pickups and everything that comes out on X. And that's every Tuesday. And find some articles on Fantrax as soon as those start rolling out for our draft kit. You know, happy to answer anything, but anything else, happy to chat with you in the DMs, man. So excited to chat with y'all. And dude, thanks for having me on, man. It was a blast.
Yeah, I appreciate you. If you're not following Lobos over there, follow him. Is that Lobos FFDen on X. For the Degens, we are doing a bunch of stuff. I just dropped a Fast Draft exclusive pod earlier today. That will be all over the place tomorrow. That is with Jagger May. And then we are doing the Devi podcast on Monday, and then a couple other different shows. I'm actually sitting down with a couple guys talking Scott Fish Bowl later this week as well.
Nice.
So it is getting to that time of the year, and it's fun, man. But it's like the seasons are shifting. You know, it's like okay, baby, like summer's coming. I think once the redraft content starts coming up, and I'm like, I got to take my dynasty flag down. I don't have a redraft Degens. I'll probably throw that out there at some point.
You gotta get that trademark, dude.
Redraft Degens. It doesn't really flow that well. I feel like no, the alliteration of Dynasty Degens is just
goes perfect. It's beautiful.
It's nice. It is nice. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody listening tonight. And then we'll catch you next week. Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody.